The call came just past midnight. Your grandpa's hurt. He's in the hospital. I tore down the county road, heart pounding harder than the tires on asphalt. When I walked into that ER room, I'll never forget the sight. Grandpa lying there, arm twisted up in a cast, face bruised, ribs bandaged. He looked up at me, eyes tired but still stubborn, and muttered, "Those damn fake cops did this, sent by Brenda." Before we dive in, comment which country you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. To understand how we ended up here, you have to know who Brenda Hale is. Brenda isn't just the HOA president. She acts like a warlord. She struts around in her Lexus like she owns the whole subdivision, barking orders, handing out fines for grass an inch too high, paint that isn't community approved, and even mailboxes she claims don't fit neighborhood aesthetics. Most folks just pay up to avoid the headache. But not my grandpa. Grandpa is old school, the kind of man who built his house with his own hands, cleared the land himself, and doesn't bow to anyone. He's lived on that property for over 50 years, long before Brenda ever thought about moving in. When she started pushing her so-called HOA compliance rules, he looked her straight in the eye and told her, "Lady, you don't own me, and you damn sure don't own this land." That drove her insane. At first, she tried sneaky tactics, fake violation letters, phony fines, threats of liens. Grandpa laughed and burned them in the fireplace. Then she escalated. She showed up at his porch with her clipboard brigade, waving papers that claimed his land technically fell under HOA jurisdiction. Grandpa tossed them back in her face. Finally, she pulled the dirtiest move yet. She sent muscle. Not real police, but 3 hired thugs in black tactical vests that had HOA cops patches stitched across the front. They even carried fake badges, probably ordered online. They banged on his door at night, shouting like they had a warrant. Grandpa, being the man he is, opened the door, and that's when they rushed him. Neighbors later said they heard shouting, then a sickening crack. Those cowards broke his arm when he tried to stand his ground. By the time they left, he was crumpled on the floor, gasping for breath. That's the backstory Brenda never wanted anyone to know. She thought Grandpa was just an old man she could bully into submission. But what she didn't account for was the fact that he wasn't alone. Because when I got that midnight call and saw the damage they'd done, I swore Brenda had just lit a fire she couldn't put out. And I wasn't the only one. Word had already reached my cousins, and when the iron serpents ride, they don't ride halfway. The next week, I walked into the Foxglove Ridge HOA meeting like a storm rolling in. Everyone else was sitting neatly in rows of folding chairs, sipping lukewarm coffee, flipping through printed agendas. And there at the front, perched on her little stage like a queen, was Brenda Hale. Pastel blazer, smug grin, and that ridiculous gavel she loved to slam on the table. "Mr. Rivers," she said, feigning sweetness, "this is a community meeting. Are you here to finally discuss your grandfather's many violations?" I didn't answer right away. I just stood there, holding up a photo, Grandpa's arm in a cast, his ribs wrapped in gauze. The room went dead silent. "You sent your fake cops to his house," I said flatly. Her eyes flickered, just for a second. Then the mask came back. "That's a very serious accusation," she purred. "If your grandfather resisted lawful community enforcement, then perhaps the situation escalated. Actions have consequences." The gall of this woman. She actually tried to spin it like he was the problem. "You don't have police authority," I shot back. According to state law, Title 18, Section 912, impersonating a federal or local officer is a felony, and under California Penal Code 529, false personation is punishable by prison. Do you know what that means, Brenda? Your little rent-a-thugs committed multiple felonies on your orders. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. A few neighbors shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Others avoided looking at me altogether. Brenda just smirked. "Proof, Mr. Rivers. Without proof, this is just noise. And I assure you, our HOA board does not tolerate slander." If you're enjoying this HOA story so far, like and subscribe because the story is only going to get better. I leaned forward, lowering my voice so only she could hear. "Proof? You left enough evidence behind to hang yourself 3 times over. And when the sheriff sees it, your little empire is finished." Her smile cracked. For the first time, I saw her composure slip. But Brenda wasn't done. A week later, strange things started happening around Grandpa's property. Mailbox bashed in. Tires slashed. Surveillance cameras cut clean like someone knew where to hit. Then came the letter, slipped under Grandpa's door. No HOA letterhead this time, just 3 words scrawled in black marker. "Next time, worse." That's when I made the call. My cousins don't wear pastel blazers. They don't sit on HOA boards. They wear leather, steel, and tattoos that tell stories most folks wouldn't survive to hear. They ride with the iron serpents, and family is everything to them. When I explained what happened to Grandpa, they didn't hesitate. Their engines roared like thunder rolling across the valley. And if Brenda thought she could control this fight, she had no idea what kind of storm was about to crash down on her. The day my cousins rolled in, the whole valley felt it. Their bikes rattled the windows, chrome snarling under the streetlights, the kind of sound that made cowards close their curtains. Brenda's people had gotten comfortable thinking they could bully an old man, but they forgot he wasn't alone, and that his bloodline ran deeper than their threats. We didn't have to look far. My cousin Vince, the sharpest tracker I know, pulled up the security footage I'd salvaged before Brenda's goons cut the lines. He froze the frame, the limp, the tattoos, the cheap patchwork vests with HOA cops stenciled in block letters across the back. They weren't cops, just thugs with knockoff uniforms. Recognize them? I asked. Vince nodded. 3 of them hang out at Miller's scrapyard on Route 12, been running petty rackets for years. Brenda must have paid them to play dress up. That was all my cousins needed. We rode out just past dusk, engines echoing off the hills, a dozen deep. When we rolled into the scrapyard, there they were, the same 3 who'd laid hands on Grandpa. They froze when they saw us, one still nursing bruised knuckles from the beating he'd given. I cut the engines with a flick of my wrist. Silence fell heavy. "You boys like breaking old men's bones?" Vince growled, stepping off his bike. The tallest one sneered. "We were just enforcing community safety. That old man got what he deserved." Wrong answer. Before another word could leave his mouth, Vince grabbed him by the vest, yanked him forward, and drove a knee into his gut. The thug folded, gasping. The second tried to pull a knife, but my cousin Dax, faster than a whip, twisted his arm till the blade clattered in the dirt. The third one bolted for the fence, but I was already there. A single move, a takedown straight out of my Delta training, and he hit the gravel hard, coughing blood. No weapons needed, just fists, boots, and the weight of justice. By the time it was done, all 3 were on the ground, whimpering. Vince leaned in close. "This is interest for Grandpa. Next time, it won't stop at broken ribs." By the time it was over, all 3 of Brenda's hired HOA cops were laid out in the dirt, bruised, broken, and stripped of their fake uniforms. We didn't kill them, but we made damn sure they'd never forget whose family they had messed with. Vince tossed their cheap badges into the fire barrel, the plastic bubbling away until nothing remained but smoke and ash. The sheriff's deputies arrived the next morning, called in by an anonymous tip. They didn't even need to ask questions. The evidence was there. Bruised suspects, fraudulent uniforms, and wire transfers linking them straight back to Brenda Harding's HOA account. The charges stuck like tar: impersonating law enforcement, felony assault on a senior, conspiracy to commit fraud, and reckless endangerment. Brenda herself was charged with aiding and abetting a violent crime and financial misconduct under state HOA regulations. The HOA board voted unanimously to remove her from her position, her so-called empire crumbling overnight. Grandpa's arm was in a cast, but his spirit was stronger than ever. He sat on the porch the day Brenda was cuffed and hauled away, smiling with his good hand wrapped around a hot cup of coffee. "You boys did good," he said quietly. "Real good." For once, the valley was quiet again. No more fake cops, no more threats, just the sound of the wind through the trees and the steady rumble of my cousins' bikes as they rode out, victory echoing in the distance. Justice had been served, and this time it was final.